Hey everyone, today I want to talk about Star Wars CCG foils, also known as holograms in other games or shiny cards. As a collector and a player, I can't think of something that's more opaque and confusing than how Decipher, the company that made Star Wars CCG, put together the foils. There's just a lot of weird terminology, unnecessary jargon, and just really hard to collect as well. So I want to just start and kind of give an overview of foils within the Star Wars CCG world. So let's start off by going through the 5 buckets of where you would find foils. So first you have Endor. So this was the first initial set that came out and it had 18 foils. And then Reflections came out after that, and that had 114 foils you could collect. And then Reflections 2 at 105, and then Reflections 3, the final set, had 100 foils, and then there was also tournament foils that were given out as rewards, and there's 28 of those. So those numbers, 18, 114, 105, 100, 28, could not be any more arbitrary. So let's start off first with Endor. I've grabbed some from my little collection to show off so you don't just have to stare at my ugly face. So Endor had 4 rare foils, which the rare foils were all also rare cards, but then they had 8 common foils and 6 uncommon foils. The uncommons were not necessarily uncommon cards, which is confusing. So Chewbacca here, and you can see the Endor foils really shine. They have this really, it's like blinding how bright they are. So Chewbacca was an uncommon foil. However, he is a rare in the set. Does that make any sense? No, but that's just how it came out. So let me show off. This is Tempest 1. I cannot remember if this is the rare or the uncommon. I think this is the rare foil. But there was 18 total. A set of these 18 foils was just so hard to complete. I think there was 3 common foils in each box and something like 2 uncommon. It was like a rare foil, like Daughter of Skywalker here, was 1 in every 3 boxes, which is just so hard to track down. But these have a really great foil pattern. Really like the way they look. So that's Endor. 18. A set of these maybe runs you around 200 to 250 bucks if you're looking. Oh yeah, and probably the coolest one is General Solo. So love a good Han Solo. So that was the first foray that Decipher, the company that made Star Wars CCG, had into foils, and they thought, okay, this was pretty successful. So then they came out with Reflections, which was the next set and had 114 foils. And they decided, instead of calling them common, uncommon, and rare foils, they changed them to what are called very rare, super rare, and ultra rare foils. So a very rare foil is actually just a common foil, and then a somewhat right now a super rare foil is an uncommon one, and so just the naming convention is not incredibly intuitive. So I have here the 2 ultra rare foils from Reflections, which are, this is just a fantastic card. It looks great, but you can kind of see they changed the way they foiled it. So this is just like blinding, and the foiling on these is a little more subtle and intentional. So I actually really love the Endor foils because I think they remind me most of kind of being a being a kid and ripping open packs and hoping to get them. I will also say that for a lot of the, so all the cards that were foiled in Reflections were also rares. So for a lot of folks, the foils were much easier to come across. Not in the case of these 2 ultra rares, but a lot of the other rares, like for example, Commander Luke, which was a Hoth card, was just an incredible pull. You know, it was a very rare foil, meaning it was a common foil, so it would come up probably more often in Reflections than you'd get it in the base set of Hoth. So foils are not always worth more money. It's more if they're in the ultra rare, so like this Luke and Darth Vader are worth more than their non-foiled counterparts. So moving along to Reflections 2, and I think that this might kind of be the height of the game. So This had 105 foils. I'll explain why it's 5. It's very random and arbitrary, like everything else. But I want to show off the ultra rare foils. So you have a Lord Vader. So this set came out after Death Star 2, so it has a lot of Death Star 2 stuff foiled in it. And additionally, this set came with 54 premium cards. And the premium cards were just additional Star Wars CCG expanded universe, things like Grand Admiral Thrawn. This is probably one of the most iconic cards in the game. So this is a Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. So he was an ultra rare card within the Death Star 2 set. And now he, is, if you can find one, it's probably $300-400 now. So this is just a really sought after card, really cool looking card, and just kind of iconic. And then finally I have the Emperor here. So there's 4 ultra rares. I actually could not find my Mara Jade, which is the 4th. So they're Lord Vader, Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight, and then the Emperor. So the Emperor and Luke, this is an example of power creep as well. I see the destinies are backwards here. So let's talk about why it was 105. So like the other, like Reflections 1, the foil, the rarity convention went very rare, super rare, ultra rare. And then on the top of every Reflections 2 box was one of 4 box toppers. So I have one here. This is the Boba Fett. And so if you bought a box of Reflections, on the very top of it was one of these 4. So there, I just have this one pulled out. And then to make things even more confusing, on the top of every case, which is 6 boxes, I believe, was this Japanese Vader foil. And I still have these in the wrapper, so I think that they're worth a little bit more if they're still in the wrapper versus opened, but to each their own. So this card versus this card, this is a Japanese version. I think I mentioned in a previous video that they made a Japanese version of the game for Premiere, A New Hope, and Hoth, the first 3 sets. This is worth much less, and generally speaking, the Japanese foils are worth much less than their Japanese card counterparts, because you could pull this, or you could find these Japanese foils much more easily than you could actually find the Japanese cards. So let's move on to Reflections 3, which I think was put out near the very end of the life of the game. We'll start off with the most random of the ultra rare foils. So Reflections 3 had 100 foils total, and it used the same convention as far as, very rare, super rare, ultra rare. So I'm going to show you the ultra rare foils. I'm going to move this one to the back because he's cool. This is a random droid, P-59, that chased Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon around on the droid, or on the Numidian ship, or whatever it is. Very random that he is a ultra rare foil, but just a really good card in the game still, and pretty cool. I like the way that the card looks. Next you have a 3PO. So just to make things confusing once again, this is a 3PO with his parts showing. So this was a Tatooine card that had an alternative image that they then made a foil of. And this still happens to be the ultra rare one. This is a pretty cool card though. This was actually the first, as a kid, I remember getting this, and this was like the highlight of my collection. And then we have a Qui-Gon. This is also the AI from Tatooine. So this came out in the last, and this is probably the highlight of Reflections 3, and this is a real chase card. This is the Darth Maul Young Apprentice foil here. Just a great looking card. Super cool. So this set came out, I think, in November of 2001, and then the game was out of print shortly after. So there wasn't a long shelf life, and accordingly, Reflections 3 packs are just super hard to track down. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about, because of that short timeline, something like this, which is called a foil line. So you see this line here. I've found to be much more common in Reflections 3 because it was kind of rushed. So you see this break in the foil pattern here. You just see this a lot more often with Reflections 3 because they were trying to get these out as fast as they could and as plentiful as they could. And I have found, I don't have empirical data, that there is just more of these kind of little mistakes. All right, so that was the 4 buckets, or 4 of the 5. Let's see, you have Endor, Reflections 1, 2, and 3. And then the final bucket is the tournament foil. So there's 28 of these tournament foils. And these were given away as prizes at tournaments. And so these are all commons and uncommons that are really commonly used cards that you could just get as, freebies for playing in tournaments. So there's 24 uncommon or common ones that are kind of like, red cards or useful, but so Imperial Barrier, for example. So it's just kind of a nice thing to have in a deck. They're not incredibly rare. There's a lot of these floating around, but we're fun in a deck. So that's 24 of the 28. The other 2, there was also 2, I think I'm about to get to it. There was, in the last couple months of the game, they did a foil Darth Maul with lightsaber, as well as Qui-Gon with lightsaber. So these are hard to come by because, one, they're useful cards, and also this sort of short period of time they existed in the wild. And then finally, there's 2 Ultimate Chase cards, which I don't have here, that were given away, I believe, as a prize for attending like DecipherCon 2000, I believe, and they were pre-order prizes. So it's a Corellian Corvette and a Imperial class Star Destroyer, and especially the Imperial class Star Destroyer. It's just the sort of ultimate chase card. So that is a brief overview of the Star Wars CCG foil world. And now I have a special treat for you guys. I'm going to open one of my Reflections 3 packs. I got these as a pretty good deal from a guy in a trade, so I feel okay about opening one. But I have not opened one of these in a long time, probably since 2001. So I did research where the foil is in this. So we will see if we hit our foil. So what foils are we looking for? We're looking for a Darth Maul, obviously, any of these ultra rare foils that I showed off. And so I'm going to do it this way. So I think it goes 5 White Border Premier, which are pretty much garbage cards. I think he's a rare, so that's not. Bantha, I love Banthas. I also think that might be a rare. So it then goes Jabba's Palace. So we're gonna have 3 Jabba's Palace. And then the next card after this is gonna be our foil. So let's, fingers crossed, we're gonna hit something big. Foil Watto. So that's not terrible. It's not what we want, but it's a foil Watto. So in addition to the foil, there's also 3 premium cards. So those can also be really good cards. So this is our Cloud City. I think this is Lando's Not a System. So this is one of our premium cards. It has this little icon up here. Oh, this is a bit rough. this guy is not, he is not the one we wanted to pull for our 3 premiums. And then these were defensive shields that were released late in the game. So see, and then we have, I think, 3 special edition back here as well. So overall, that's probably not a great pack. We got a foil Watto though, and then these 3 premium cards. So the premium cards, there's a Boba Fett you can pull, which is very good, and the power creep that happened in this set was pretty immense. So not a great day spinning the lottery there with packs, but I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and feel free to let me know if you have questions on foils or anything else in the Star Wars CCG world. See ya.